So I'm really pleased to welcome Christina. She's going to be talking to us about a news update on what's going on in Norway, including an incident that she was reported. Christina, you're the country contact for Women's Human Rights Campaign Norway. Could you tell us about what's going on in Norway and about the incident when you were reported to the police?
I received a message a couple of weeks ago that the police had a message for me. And in the message, it says that a report against me had been dismissed. And I had no idea what that was. So I tried to figure out what it was. And then it turns out that I'd been reported to the police for misconduct because of statements we've uttered on the WHRC Norway Twitter account. Specifically, the leader of the queer organization in Norway, the biggest queer organization in Norway, reported me to the police for misconduct because he felt accused of pedophilia, which to me was, well, already shocking, but that was his concern. But this was what he reported me to the police for. Was shocking. So I'd like to explain then, like, why he reported these tweets. He reported me because I'm the executive board member of WHRC in Norway. We have several members. We also have a communication consultant that are mainly in charge for the Twitter account. The accusation, the tweets that he reported were from a discussion, because we've had a discussion about Shinigami Ice and about the harassment of women using these specialist tools that are specifically developed to track women and brand women. So Shinigami Ice was a part of that discussion, and he went out and defended this extension. And also he went out and encouraged people to lower their threshold for reporting women and people to the police. So his name was in our Twitter feed in relation to the Women's Rights Caucus Feminist Declaration. Women's Human Rights Campaign Australia did a brilliant statement about the Women's Caucus Feminist Declaration. And that feminist declaration, I don't know if that feminist declaration is incredibly problematic. They call for the removal, effectively, it calls for the removal of the age of consent. And it calls for the decriminalization of adolescent sexuality. I don't understand that one because I don't think it is criminalized anywhere. And then it also, this feminist declaration calls for the removal of prostitution in anti-trafficking legislations. So I don't understand how this feminist declaration can be supported by anyone. We criticized this queer organization and asked them, well, do you support the removal of the age of consent? We'd never get any replies from them. But then I was reported to the police because he felt accused of pedophilia. And this marks the second time that a member of that organization reports a woman who has concerns about the safety of children to the police, where accusation of pedophilia is their claim for discrimination. And I think this is incredibly concerning because queer theory have a very well documented history of demanding that the age of consent is removed. It's been a topic I mean, even the ILGA, the International Gay and Lesbian Association, have failed to recognize and to denounce pedophilia activism in their organization. So in the 90s, they even lost their UN consultancy status because feminists in France and Belgium and England demanded that they either denounce it or that they be removed.
A couple of weeks ago, I went on the ILGA International website, and on their front page, they say we are not paedophiles. So actually, they have updated their website partly because of criticisms from Women's Human Rights Campaign and other organizations related to that feminist declaration. So it's quite good, at least they're putting on their front page, no, we're not paedophiles.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's just so weird that they have to be pushed to say that. Like we had a game, like last year, we had a game between us where we tried to get the then leader of the organization to have to say those words in the newspaper. So we kept criticizing because they have an incredibly irresponsible approach to children, to women.
Can you tell us a bit about what's happening in Norway? Is public opinion turning against gender identity ideology, or is it pro? And have you got a law for self-ID? Those things.
We have the law for self-ID. They are pushing towards getting children the legal protections to declare whatever gender they are and have their healthcare. So basically, they're about 5 years behind. Like they are desperately trying to frame anyone who criticize as being transphobic, but. If people are also waking up, like they're realizing this narrative that they're painting, that everybody who criticizes these portrayal they have, that they obviously they're not right-wing populist fanatics. We are mostly women, and we are mostly women who are being reported to the police as well. The developments in Norway are. I just think it's right before it has to crash. It's going to have to crash because they've the evidence is mounting.
Are there many organizations along with Women's Human Rights Campaign speaking out about this in Norway?
There are more forming, but there's not a lot. No, most well-established women's rights organizations in Norway are in complete denial. On the one hand, they'll be writing criticism about gender-neutral language in law and about the necessity of having sex-specific legislations in the human rights and things like that. But on the other hand, they are considering trans rights as this extension of women's rights in ways that are completely incompatible. And they end up defending. They are at a loss. Many of them have completely bought this narrative that the only reason to be critical is this fantasy about being neo-fascist. So that's very disappointing. But more normal people, obviously, are waking up.